My wife went on a retreat for 2 weeks. I stayed back with the kids. Our neighbor kept dropping off meals. I thought it was just kindness. Then one day she said, "You seem better without her." I brushed it off. But that night, I found a folder in our mailbox. Photos of my wife. With circles drawn around her face. Her car. Her luggage. A note attached. "She doesn't deserve what she has. Let her go. We'll take care of you. We live in Ashland, Oregon. It's small, quiet, and known for its Shakespeare festival and pretty scenery. I thought we were safe here." My wife, Dana, had been struggling for months. Work stress, family stress, stuff she didn't always talk about. Some days she'd snap at me or the kids for nothing. Other days she'd barely speak at all. We tried counseling. It helped a little, but not enough. So when her therapist suggested a retreat, I told her to go. I figured maybe space would help her reset. She left early on a Sunday. She kissed the kids goodbye, said she loved us, and took off with 2 suitcases in her Subaru. I waved from the porch, watching her disappear down the street. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. If I'm being honest, I felt relieved. The next couple of days were calm. I took time off to stay with the kids, Maya and Ben. We did puzzles, watched movies, walked to the park. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been in months. No yelling, no tension. Just calm. On day 3, I got a knock at the door around 5:30 p.m. It was Melanie, our neighbor across the street. She had a glass dish wrapped in foil. "Thought you might need a break from cooking," she said. I thanked her and took it. "Baked ziti. Still warm." She smiled and said, "You've got your hands full with the little ones." I remember how it was. I didn't think much of it. Melanie was friendly, single, and always seemed to be doing yard work or walking her dog. I'd never seen her act strange or anything. She was one of those people who always waved but never asked too many questions. The next day, she brought over homemade soup. Then banana bread. Then meatloaf. I told her she didn't have to keep doing it, but she waved me off every time. "It's no trouble," she said. "Besides, you look like you could use it." A few times, she came by when the kids were outside or in their rooms. She'd chat for a bit in the kitchen. Nothing too personal. But something about her tone, it felt like she was watching me. Like she was trying to read me. On the 10th day, she brought over some cookies and stayed a little longer than usual. She leaned against the counter, watching me clean up plates. Then she said, "You know, you seem better without her." I paused. "What?" I asked, laughing a little. I thought maybe I heard her wrong. "You seem lighter. Happier. Like something's been lifted." I didn't like how that felt. It was too personal. Too familiar. "I guess I've just had more time with the kids," I said, keeping my voice even. She smiled, but it wasn't a friendly one. "Or maybe things are just easier when you're not walking on eggshells." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded and changed the subject. She left not long after. That night, around 9 p.m., I went out to get the mail. Our mailbox is one of those small ones at the end of the driveway. I pulled out some junk flyers, a magazine, and then a black folder. No name. No return address. I brought it inside and opened it at the kitchen table. Inside were 6 photos. All printed on glossy paper. All of Dana. One showed her at a gas station, looking down at her phone. One was of her car from behind, license plate circled in red. Another was her dragging her suitcase across a parking lot. A blurry one showed her talking to a woman outside a cabin. Each photo had something circled: her face, her car, the retreat's sign. Taped to the last photo was a note, written in slanted, careful handwriting. "She doesn't deserve what she has. Let her go. We'll take care of you." My hands went cold. I read it 3 times before I could move. I looked out the window. Melanie's house was lit up across the street. Porch light on. Curtains pulled back. I shut the folder, locked the door, and stood there in the kitchen, trying to decide what the hell to do next. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the words from that note over and over in my head. Let her go. We'll take care of you. Who the hell was we? The next morning, I kept things normal for the kids. Made breakfast, packed lunches, walked them to the bus. But the whole time, I felt like I was being watched. I caught myself checking over my shoulder more than once. When I got back home, I pulled out the folder again. The photos weren't random. Whoever took them had followed Dana. At least from the house to the retreat. They knew where she was, what she looked like, and what car she drove. And they knew she was gone. Not many people did. Just me, the kids, Dana's therapist, and Melanie. I started thinking back. Melanie had always been a little too friendly. Always quick to offer help, ask small questions. I brushed it off before, but now I realized she'd known too much. She never asked, "Where's Dana?" She already knew. Around noon, I walked outside like I was just checking the weather. Melanie was in her yard trimming hedges. She waved like nothing was wrong. "You all right over there?" she called out. I nodded. "Yeah. Just tired. Need anything?" she asked. "You know I'm around." "I'm good," I said. "Thanks." I went back inside and locked the door. That afternoon, I made a call to Dana's retreat. They don't usually let people speak directly to the guests, but I pushed. I lied and said it was an emergency. After a few minutes on hold, the woman on the line confirmed Dana was there and doing fine. She couldn't patch me through, but said she'd pass along the message. It gave me a little peace, but not much. That night, I checked the mailbox again. Another folder. This one was brown. Inside was just one photo. Dana, from the back, walking into what looked like the woods behind the retreat. She was alone. And underneath, another note. "She wanders. She won't be missed. Let her go. Come across the street. We'll explain everything." That was it. No signature. No date. I felt sick. I called the local police. Told them someone was leaving disturbing notes and photos. I didn't mention Melanie by name yet. I wasn't sure how far this went. They sent a deputy out the next morning. He was polite, but distracted. Took the folder, asked some questions, wrote it off as probably a prank. "People around here can be weird," he said. "If anything else shows up, give us a call." That night, after putting the kids to bed, I looked out my window toward Melanie's house. The porch light was off this time. Curtains drawn. Around 11 p.m., I saw movement. Her front door opened just slightly. I saw her silhouette. She was holding something. A minute later, she walked down her porch steps and crossed the street. Toward my house. I stayed in the shadows, watching from the living room window. She walked up to my front door, placed something on the mat, and stood there for a full 30 seconds. Then she turned and went back. I waited 5 minutes before opening the door. It was another photo. Just one. This time, it wasn't of Dana. It was me. Asleep on the couch. From the angle, it had to be taken through the window. Last night or the night before. No note this time. Just the photo. And that's when I knew, this wasn't just obsession. This was control. Someone wanted Dana gone. And they were watching my every move. I didn't go to bed that night. I sat in the living room with the lights off, staring at the front door. I had a kitchen knife in my lap, even though I knew how stupid that looked. I wasn't thinking straight. I was trying to stay calm for the kids, but inside, everything was cracking. Who the hell takes a picture of someone sleeping? Who does that and then leaves it like some kind of message? By morning, I had a plan. I set up one of my old phones as a motion-activated camera in the front window. I put another one in the backyard, pointing at the fence. I didn't know what I expected to catch. Maybe I just wanted proof I wasn't losing my mind. Around noon, I called Dana's therapist. Left a message. Told her I needed to speak to her in person, and it was urgent. An hour later, Melanie knocked on my door. I didn't answer. She knocked again. I stayed silent behind the door, watching through the peephole. She stood there for a long time, holding what looked like a tray of muffins. Like this was just a normal neighborly visit. After maybe 5 minutes, she finally walked away. I waited until she was back in her house before I opened the door and grabbed the tray. There was no note this time. Just muffins. I threw them straight in the trash. Then I went to my laptop and checked the footage from the night before. Around 2:13 a.m., the camera facing the street caught a blurry figure standing at the edge of our lawn. Just standing there. Watching the house. The resolution was terrible, but I could tell it was a woman. Slim build. Hair pulled back. Same shape as Melanie. But she never stepped closer. Just watched. For about 2 minutes. Then she walked off. I showed the video to the police. They sent someone else this time, a woman named Officer Dana Hill, no relation to my wife. She took it more seriously. Asked if there had been other incidents. I gave her the folders. The notes. Even the tray of muffins still in the trash, just in case. She said she'd follow up. That night, Melanie didn't come by. The next day, Officer Hill called me. She wanted to talk in person. When she showed up, she looked off, tense. She sat down in my kitchen and lowered her voice. "I checked into Melanie Kearns," she said. She's got a sealed file out of Washington. Something that happened about 8 years ago. What kind of something? I asked. She paused. Domestic issue. She was in a long-term relationship. Man disappeared. Never found. She wasn't charged, but there were questions. No family. No kids. Moved here 4 years ago. I sat back in my chair, the air going out of me. Should I get my wife out of that retreat? I asked. She looked me dead in the eye. I would. I called the retreat. Told them I was coming to pick Dana up myself. They didn't argue. Just asked what time I'd arrive. I told the kids we were going on a surprise road trip. Packed them up. Drove the 3 hours straight to the retreat. I didn't sleep. Didn't stop. I just drove. When I got there, Dana looked surprised but not unhappy. What's going on? She asked. Is everything okay? I didn't tell her everything. Just enough to make her understand we needed to go home together. No. She agreed. We got back to Ashland late that night. And there, on our porch, was a new envelope. Plain white. No stamp. No name. Inside were 3 photos. The kids, Maya and Ben. At school. On the bus. Playing in our yard. And one more note. She came back. That's a mistake. That was it. No more pretending. No more brushing it off. This wasn't just about Dana anymore. They were watching all of us. I didn't let Dana see the photos. Not right away. She was already rattled from the sudden pickup. The last thing I wanted was for her to feel what I'd been feeling, like we were trapped in our own lives. Hunted. Exposed. But she knew something was off. You're not telling me everything, she said that night as we sat in the living room. The kids were asleep upstairs. I will, I told her. But not tonight. She didn't argue. Maybe she was too tired. Or maybe deep down, she already knew something was wrong. That night I barely slept. I stayed near the front window with the lights off, watching. Waiting. The next morning, I met with Officer Hill again. I showed her the new envelope. Her face went stiff when she saw the photos of the kids. That changes everything, she said. We're opening a formal investigation. We'll have a cruiser circle the neighborhood. But listen, if you feel unsafe, get out. Don't wait. I nodded. But I wasn't leaving. Not yet. Not until I ended this. I went home and finally told Dana everything. The meals. The comments. The photos. The folder. Melanie. She sat there, hands trembling, then stood up and said, You need to get our kids and go to your brother's. I'll stay. I'll handle it. What are you talking about? I asked. Dana looked at me with an expression I hadn't seen in years. Cold. Focused. You don't understand. I know Melanie. I froze. What? She was in a support group I tried a year ago. For women dealing with emotional abuse. My stomach dropped. You never mentioned. I didn't think I had to. It was a brief thing. She recognized me, I guess, but I didn't remember her until now. I stared at her. Why the hell didn't you say anything? Dana's voice rose. Because you didn't ask. Because I didn't know until just now. We argued. Too loudly. And that's when I realized something that shook me even worse than the pictures. We'd both been missing the same thing. We both assumed the other one was hiding something. But the truth was, we were just broken in different ways. I didn't take the kids to my brother's. I couldn't. Instead, I waited for nightfall. Around midnight, I saw Melanie's porch light go on. I didn't think. I got up, crossed the street, and knocked on her door. She opened it slowly. She looked tired. Almost sad. I knew you'd come, she said softly. What the hell do you want from us? I said, stepping inside without asking. She didn't stop me. She walked to her dining room table. There were dozens of photos spread out. Dana. Me. The kids. Her house was filled with them. Like a shrine. Years worth. She doesn't deserve you, Melanie said. She wasted everything. You were meant to be cared for. Not controlled. You don't know us. I snapped. I watched, she whispered. I saw the way she looked at you. Like you were a problem. But you're not. You're perfect. I felt sick. You've been following her. I've been protecting you, she said, eyes wide. I thought if I showed you how bad she was, you'd see it. I pulled out my phone. Hit record. You've been threatening my family. She froze. And then she smiled. You don't think I've covered my tracks? I think the cops already have enough, I said. They're watching right now. She blinked. Just once. Then she lunged. I caught her wrists, but she fought like someone who had snapped a long time ago. We hit the floor hard. Her nails dug into my face. I elbowed her off, scrambled to my feet. Dana came in behind me with Officer Hill. She'd been waiting with her, across the street. The whole thing was planned. They arrested Melanie on the spot. They found a storage unit in her name 2 towns over. More photos. Maps. Notes about Dana's schedule. Even drawings of our house. She'd been planning something. Something worse than notes. They charged her with stalking, harassment, and making criminal threats. There was talk of conspiracy, too. Someone else had helped her early on, but skipped town. A woman from the group Dana had attended. Melanie pled not guilty. Claimed she was trying to save me. I testified in court. So did Dana. So did Officer Hill. The whole town watched it unfold like a horror story. And through it all, I felt this guilt I couldn't shake. Because I didn't listen to my wife when she said she was struggling. Because I liked the quiet too much when she was gone. Because I didn't see the danger sooner. Melanie was sentenced to 8 years. Probably less with time served. Dana and I? We're still trying. We see a counselor together now. We talk. We yell. We cry. Sometimes I catch her staring out the window a little too long. Sometimes I check the mailbox at night, just to be sure. We don't feel safe yet. But we're still here. And that's something.